You want to come close to the microphone?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I hope you
I
guys
see
doing
you just watching around. What's going on?
Yeah, thank you. I'm so elated. To see us at least progressing, demonstrating everything, and taking up the kind of leadership that one will call for. And you don't have to possibly get into government before you do something substantial. And I'm very proud of you, my brother.
Okay, we're very humble. But I mean, you don't mostly see.
No, you know that. Forget what you say. But me, they call me Ibrahim, especially when it comes to the Muslim era. So my parents took the Christian Abraham. So normally I have some small Muslim background. So where I have Nima background, Bon background, Basa background.
Your background too, man. Yeah, man, it's good to see you this morning.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure, at least. We're here together.
Okay, folks, like we've been announcing this morning that at about this time, we're going to play host to the national, newly, should I say, appointed chairman of CDC in person of Janga and Customs Kowo. This is not a strange name to, the politics of our country, the governance aspect of our country. He served before in different, capacities, positions, by the way. One of his recent, positions he served the country was as the Controller General of the Republic of Liberia. Now he sits in a hot seat. He controls the biggest opposition political institutions in the country. Let me say good morning to you, Janga. And it feels good to see you. Been a while. I don't know, you say a year now or what?
No.
Okay, just get the microphone to you.
I don't know why. It's good seeing you. It's good. Thanks for this. It's quite impressive. We should really thank you for this. The entrepreneurial spirit that we see here, we should be encouraged. We're very happy. So we putting this content together. It's very, very good. Liberia is actually making progress. So thanks to the team.
Okay, so like we announced, Janga, we have the three on this interview. Samara is also here. I think you love the team of those of the people going to interview because we have a female. It's a gender. Okay, so you see Abraham there. He comes from Freedom FM. We hope we can have a conversation on lots of issues. But by the way, our highest life review, let's look at your private life first. Highest life review in the private sector, leading government, served for 6 years in one of the biggest positions in the country. Now you are a private citizen, even though you serve in one of the biggest positions in the party. But let's look at, quote unquote, your private life after that.
Well, I mean, it has been quite good. It was quite resting before I was called upon. I was called upon to serve, to ascend to the position of the chairman of the CDC. I was taking some time off. I was doing some academic work, and then I was trying to, try to consolidate my business activities and working on other projects actually. But when you have a call to duty, you owe it to the CDC, you owe it to the Liberian people. So life has been quite okay. It was resting before I assumed the chairmanship of the CDC, and I rested for about 2 months. So I've been called back to theater to take up the challenge of the chairmanship of the CDC, which is quite a challenging position.
Okay. How it feels with you looking back at you being in government, serving as the Controller General of the Republic of Liberia. You receive calls, look at virtues, all the issues you need to make things to work to run the country smoothly. You want to give us a little experience with you being in government. How did you manage to reach the government to where they reached?
Well, running government is quite tough, quite challenging, especially for the whole country like Liberia. And our brothers who just took over, they come to realize we because they were in power for 12 years, so I do understand. I do think they appreciate the challenge. Maybe the 6 years of resting may have, maybe there's some relapse on the challenges, and because I think energies are being misdirected. But they do have a Herculean task. Liberia is a poor country. Nobody fighting to come to power. So I think that is going to be very important now. When the country is challenging, quite challenging.
Do you miss any time in your life now about your days in government?
No, I mean, frankly, it's always a good thing to be called upon to serve your country, so that you miss. But the pressure that comes with running a government, it's no joke. Especially where I sat, it's absolutely no joke. When you hit the 15th of the month, and then you begin to check your balances to see whether you have money to pay government employees, whether you have money to pay international debt, whether you have money to pay domestic. It's quite challenging. It's actually no joke. So that's why we wish the new government well. They do have an obligation to run the country, and I think they should direct their energies to running the country, because running the country is no joke. They were there for 12 years, and they must have had some understanding.
We will reach to that. We will talk about their governance and all of that, because at the end of the day, it's one of the main things we're going to talk about here. So, did the chairmanship of CDC come to you as a surprise, or it was something that you thought of before?
It really came as a surprise, but I mean, I was in the last session because of argument for legal and governmental affairs. So naturally, when you are in such position, you don't necessarily plan that, oh, I'm going to ascend to the chairmanship, but there's always a possibility. And so the possibility came. The former chairman, the Mama came on to resign, and then along the succession line, I ascended to the position of chairman of the party. So it's not something that I planned for. It's something that came as a surprise, but we embrace the challenge, and we look forward to doing our best in trying to consolidate the party. I mean, we were in government for 6 years. We are now in opposition. We're going to take stock of where we were. We're going to do a SWOT analysis of the government of the party, and then we're going to do a reset for the future. We're going to return. Like I said, when I was assuming office, we do not intend to be a disruptive opposition to the government. We expect the government to, because the government already has a serious challenge to run the country. So we don't intend to disrupt. Although we think, in our opinion, that the opposition was very disruptive of our 6 years of governance, and I don't think we want to pay back in kind in that manner. But Liberia is our country, and we see the president, congratulated the current president long before we didn't go to court. We had an option because the victory was within the margin of error, less than 1%, and then that was triggered an automatic recount nationally. Former President George Weah did not want to put the country through that. There was tension. The opposition was, in the process of electioneering, the opposition they were engaging in natural violence, killing people around the country. Before we had killed people, the opposition, they were beating people around the country. They were behaving like they were the government in power. And so there was high tension. The level of tension in the country was very high. And then so when the results came out, and then although the margin, the lead was very narrow, but in the wisdom of the president, Weah, he thought, well, gentlemen, let's leave the guy to we organize the election and everything with tension. And because we had the option to call for national recount. there were a lot of evidence of malpractices around the country. A lot of evidence of malpractices around the country. But we are in his wisdom and for the collective good of the country, because anything was backed out, our country is still fragile. So the fragility of it, taking that into consideration, so in his wisdom, though it was a very, very painful decision for members of the party, but in his wisdom, and that's why so many of us have come to respect him based on that decision, because it was very painful. African leaders, even globally, people don't just give up power easily. But the fact that President Weah, the out of his analysis and thought, gentlemen, then let it go. We think that was very magnanimous on his part, that was patriotic on his part. And he has further demonstrated his democratic credentials. He has further demonstrated that he's not power greedy, power hungry, as some people thought. So like I said yesterday, the CDC has stamped his democratic credentials. CDC has demonstrated that it's one of the most democratic institutions in the country. Conceding without even going to court, and you are the sitting government.
You have every right to go to court. All right, so let's come to some of the issues, especially looking at our political space. 1980, Doto tried to support the dominance of one party. His own spell in power was characterized by political instability, and Doto did not go that long. 1990, he was toppled by Charles Taylor and his team. And of course, he went a little over maybe the fresh term. Now, Taylor took over. His spell was also characterized by political instability from 1997 to 2003. Quite challenging. Now, with all of that behind us and had a post-war era, where Ellen Johnson said the new era, when indeed Liberia were transitioning from a failed state to that of a constitutional state where all of our constitutional authorities will come on board. Ellen stopped at 12. The CDC decided to break that political, dynastic, and of course, dominance that had always engulfed our country. And many had anticipated that the CDC too at most hit at 12 before even relinquishing power. We're hearing at 6. Does this come as a surprise to you guys? Is the way you wanted?
No. And it is now what we wanted as a party, as a government. If you look at Liberian history, I mean, we are where we are because of the politics of the country.
Yeah.
So if you came to deal with the benefit of history, with the benefit of insight, I would say maybe the 1980 coup was not necessary, because there was elections later for 1983, where the democratic forces of the country should have just united, because Togo was on one term. He was now going for re-election in 1983. So why the coup d'etat in 1980? But people were not patient. Political actors, political activists in Liberia were not patient. They thought, and then Togo had to be ejected from office immediately. And so they supported the coup d'etat and led to the overthrow of Turbot in 1983. And then the country started to go down spiral. But if they had been like the CDC that waited for 12 years in opposition, although some people say, oh, the Chui party was in power for 123 years, because political actors in the country were not organizing. The CDC organized in 12 years and took power. But you have the citizens. What you need to do is to organize. It's not to be disruptive. It's to organize and engage, sell your ideas. So if you ask me today, I'm a student of Liberian history. I've been a student activist, so I do understand Liberian history and politics. So if you ask me to do with the benefit of hindsight, I will tell you, if you talk to all of the actors who said, maybe we should have amalgamated the forces and gone to election in 1983, because Togo was not contesting. Togo was on one term, 8 years. So he was not contesting. So there was a serious window of opportunity. Togo was not contesting. All of the intellectuals, many of them were allowed to take over democratically without bloodshed.
No, but there has always been a trend where even with a candidate not contesting, we manipulate a process.
Yes.
So that his political party can even eventually win. And this is where the problem came in.
So that is always a possibility. But where you had the Trinity party was out of favor with the Liberian people, it was being almost impossible. I mean, again, people you can debate either way, but I'm saying
election rigging is about imposition. It's not about letting the will of the people done. So since you know the will of the people will not be done, then you use what that means.
So how do we know who have won 2017 elections? How do we know? So I mean, rigging is always a possibility, but also democratic, takeover is also a possibility. In fact, that is the best possibility. Democratic, peaceful transfer of power, consolidate peace, consolidate.
During the CDC mismanagement chances of at least equally unity parties 12 years. There is something that people have said, okay, so let's share it at 12.
So that is a separate debate. We have my opinions. Yes, CDC may have had some error, like government in power. The unity party 12 years. They had a lot of errors. They had a lot of issues. They had a lot of governance issues. Yes. CDC says yes. Yes. You're not going to come here and say, oh, CDC says you are perfect. No, that would be dishonest to the Liberian people. No. We have some challenges. But if you ask me, if we compare CDC says yes to CDC to Unity Party 12 years, we did better.
Okay.
We did better.
Right.
That is my opinion. We did better. But again, there were other variables that led to our defeat. Some of it, our own fault, some of it were external actors. But when you compare, and again, we are right here. CDC says yes, but the Unity Party 12 years, I will tell you, CDC outperformed the Unity Party. If you compare 6 to 12.
All right.
And that's a debate that we are willing to take with the folks in the Unity Party.
All right, so that's your own thoughts. Let's draw it down to this government. Inauguration was on the 22nd of January. And since the 22nd of January, it have been 2 months now. 2 months now. How can you term this new government? How do you term it? The Unity Party government. How do you term it in terms of the ruling of the country, in terms of what the things that's going on?
The Unity Party government 2 months have been disruptive of their own governance process. They have been engaging extrajudicial actions. A government should not be engaged in extrajudicial action because you are the custodian. You are the custodian of the security of the state. If you are engaged in extrajudicial action, you are inciting violence. You are calling for instability. So it is in their interest to desist because they are being disruptive, appointing people to a position where you already have people are telling you they are protected by the law. And you expect that people should go to court. It should be in rare cases where we'll be taking the government to court to stop the government from violating the laws. Where the government will put people in the street and begin to interfere with free movement of people, begin to interfere with property rights of individuals. That is seriously counterproductive.
We will reach the assets. So
let me ask a general question.
Yes, but I want us to have a foundation that we land somewhere.
Yes, so that's specifically
so let me take him. You've taken over CDC. CDC seems to be heavily divided. You have some people that think that President Weah did not do well for them. Some people think that if George Weah, as the current political leader of CDC, goes on the ballot 2029, there are reasons why they think they cannot support CDC. Others think that President Weah did well. There's divided CDC. What is it you're going to do? What are the plans you're coming on board with so as to have your partisans? Mind you, history tells us that CDC is the first political party where you see their partisans will buy their own t-shirts. Their partisans will pay to things just to see the results that they want to see. But looking at the way the government led this country for 6 years, they think that they did not do well. What is it you're going to do to bring these issues together?
So basically, CDC is not a social club. And so definitely there will be factions in CDC. There will be people. And CDC is a political party. A political party where people go to contest for positions and other things. People have their own view as to how the politics of the country should be done. People have their own view on how the governance of the party should be done. CDC is a political party. It's a vibrant political party with internal differences, and we recognize those differences. But at the end of the day, we're going to unite the party, and as we move to 2029, we will be victorious. CDC is not a social organization. No, there are people who may have differences, and that's why we think the former president, the SLC George Manabuya, is one of the best. Although he's not a traditional politician, but he has been able to hold together that movement. That movement led the movement to election in 2017 and won. Yeah, there are differences in CDC. Those differences will be confronted. We will unite the party. We will build our coalition, and we will march on to 2029. And our victory will be so evident that nobody will doubt it. Nobody will attempt to play with it, because we have set the basis of democratic transfer of power in Liberia. So what I can say simple to that question, we're going to unite the party. Yes, there are differences in CDC because it's a political movement. The people from different backgrounds. You got people in the center, you got people to the left, you got people to the right. So you got to bring all of those forces together. For me, I see myself as a center leftist, right?
Thank you. How do you go
I'm
about
a center left and a political actor. That is, I try as much as possible to be on the side of people, but I try to build consensus.
Chairman Kowo, how do you intend to engage the issue with your former chairman? It's a clear secret and something that is open to the public, where Molba Molu is one of the strongest sons in terms of what I'm about to ask you of CDC. He's one of the major players. He has left the party. People think
he
that
has not left the party.
No, he said he has opened his own institution, and that institution has no association with CDC, according to him.
Yeah, but
so he focuses on his own institution, then CDC.
So
there's this information that in the nearby future there will be a serious fight with the CDC and that of former chairman Baba.
So
how do you intend to handle the issue?
Let me give you some context, right? If you see the ANC today, the ANC came from CDC, right? So it didn't stop CDC from winning election in 2017. So that argument.
But the manner in form is quite different from what happened.
The point I'm making is that argument people. And let me say this: we do appreciate, Chairman Baba Molu for the service to the party. And so he resigned as national chairman. He didn't resign as a member of the CDC. So as far as we know, Chairman Baba Molu is still a member of the CDC, but he has the right to do private endeavors. Yeah, the chairmanship, he was trying to organize his organization. He has the right.
But since you took over, did you communicate with him so as to say, okay, even though you resign, I'm taking over where you've been, and let's have a conversation?
Of course. I mean,
what was his response?
We have very, very welcoming. Mama is a brother. Yeah. We come along. We fought together. We won the election in 2017 together. So he's a brother. So definitely, we always not an enemy to the CDC, and we don't want that impression even created. His resignation of the chairmanship, because we lost some major elections. So I mean, we try to take stock of what happened. So he, as chairman, thought it was important at this point in time to disengage from the chairmanship, which is good. His resignation was accepted. We wish him well in his future endeavors. He is still a member of the CDC. We're going to try to build a relationship. So if it's from the perspective of Chairman Molu, definitely we have reached out to him. We'll try by all means, and whatever private endeavors he engaging in, we wish him well. Yes.
What about your your partisans that think that, okay, you can be, what about your partisans, Janga, that think that, okay, the election ended, we gave the CDC 6 years, we suffered a lot and everything, they came to power, they did not do it far and near in some other counties and all of that. Have you reached out, or how do you intend to reach out to them? I'm looking at the solution of your party, because I'm told, and from what we've seen and some of the things we've heard people talked about concerning your party, CDC is not the CDC you knew. It is not the CDC you talked to the 2017 elections.
So I don't know. I mean, again, people have the right to hold opinions, right? But we can tell you, if you, I mean, you take the election result, and then that will tell you whether the CDC is not the CDC. Of course, the CDC. There's an election. There's a country that is almost divided 50-50. So anybody who will insinuate and the CDC is not the CDC before, then of course then you are misreading.
You have a very big tax.
So we do recognize the tax, but you need to point out and let me factual. The country is divided 50-50. Almost 50% of the country support CDC. And we even suspect that there are more who are supposed CDC. You understand? So it's just about reaching out. If we use the election result as an empirical data to tell you the strength of the CDC, and then that's what we're going to be building on. Yes, there were disenchantment even when we won the elections, because again I point out that we're a poor country. It was not possible, and the president did try. It was not possible to satisfy everybody immediately. So that was a challenge. And when the president mandated that when we took over, he mandated people not to go about dismissing civil servants. That was a key policy decision of the government. So the CDC government was stable. We inherited the Unity Party civil service for 12 years. And we did not go in and start dismissing people. We challenged anybody. We challenged the current government to prove that this was dismissed. No, we didn't. We didn't. And because we didn't go about trying to dismiss 10, 15, 20,000 people from the payroll and try to employ seditions, people think that maybe that's what we should have done. But in the wisdom of the president, and I agree with him, because we are all Liberians. And that's why we keep wanting the current government.
Although you didn't do that, but you started temporarily with the 10 positions to first.
No, there were one or two instances. No, there were one or two instances. No, there were one or two instances. And when those were brought to the attention of the president and the government, we didn't push. But see what the Unity Party is doing. So yeah, there were instances where
to the extent that the president even wanted the legislature to cancel up every 10 position. He wanted that from a president we are.
Because it was his opinion that maybe the president here should not be tied. But the law of the country is the law. He didn't succeed in changing the law because the current government resisted it in parliament. They resisted the national legislature, so they cannot be beneficiaries of their own inaction. But now they are trying to benefit, and they are glaringly violating, disregarding the laws of the country. That's a recipe for instability.
So we'll come to governance, especially this government. I'd like to be asked about it, but I'm more concerned about the CDC's readiness for the position that they are in, because I asked the question as to whether you saw this coming, and if you were to check every other common citizens, you would have asked them, they saw this like a plane crash. So they are still even struggling to know as to how this thing really happened. Now, let's get to the issue of the CDC's going to opposition on the backdrop of some negativities, the waves of sanctions, and the negative propaganda, which of course in some of them you have addressed them on the issue about the perception about properties, acquisitions. They also talk about the issue about the perception of rampant corruption characterized by the issue waves of sanctions that dogged the CDC government. Now you are into opposition. How do you tend to turn the story around?
So again, we can say again, largely most of the things against the government who were in power were propaganda. We didn't deal with propaganda very well. In my opinion, we didn't deal with propaganda very well. Maybe from the very beginning, we didn't engage propaganda very well. And so a lot of lies, are told against the government. Those lies, almost became, perception, perception and reality usually. A perception was created, it was cemented. Well, I can tell you most of the things that there was no 16 billion that was missing from the country. No. But that, if you ask anybody today, they will tell you 16 billion. No, there was no 16 billion because the currencies were printed before the CDC came to power. It was the Unity Party that printed those currencies, they brought it into the country long before we took over. But somebody took a lie, and they lie, Yeah, so why people were protesting.
They say you people have properties all over the place. You acquire that.
No, so-
That's why you see the whole asset recovery thing.
No, so again, acquisition of property is a constitutional right. So nobody will argue that opposite acquire property. No, it's a constitutional right. So you're not going to
Tied it to corruption.
So that's why the burden of proof will allow the accuser. So if you take somebody acquire you, the burden of proof is on you.
You were talking about not managing propaganda, but let me go to online. I mean, not quote verbatim, but online in the resignation letter of Mobambol. You talk about managing propaganda, and the issue of the sanctions has nothing specifically to do with propaganda. It's about the Western interest as to how the CEO government, how they think they want to do this policy. So Molu was able to make it clear that, in fact, advising forward that the CDC needed to build more relationship with the West, especially Washington. That was his perception. Sitting as a chair, and then saying that the waves of sanctions and things will demonstrate that indeed you never have good rapport with.
Well, again, we are trying to understand, because I was not in a position to understand exactly the background, the basis for the sanctions by the U.S. government. I mean, as chairman, we try to engage them to understand, and we expect them. America has a long-standing relationship with Liberia. We expect them to be objective. We expect them to be impartial. And we are even the communication we send to the legislators, and we copy them. The last 2 months, they are being silent on some critical national issues. People were killed by the police in Kinshasa. We didn't see a statement from the U.S. Embassy. It's traditional. The people are saying, "Oh, not every instance," or the killing of citizens by the police in less than 2 months. In the governing of a political party that gets took over. It's concerning. It should concern the international community. It should concern partners. So the police, because it says yes, the police didn't give any protester. There was a series of demonstrations in the country trying to make the country unstable. There was a calculated plan to make the country unstable under the CDC.
You thought the sanctions were meant to demoralize the CDC, knowing that you were going to an opposition, you could make a comeback?
Well, the sanctions, yes, they are demoralizing. Like I said, I don't have all the facts, so we'll be.
But they are demoralizing. Forget about the factual aspect. It's demoralizing.
Actually, it's demoralizing. It's demoralizing.
Okay.
But that's not going to bring us down, because we are a strong movement. We are a movement that came to power democratically. We are a movement that people say will never come to power, and we defy those. And we came a lot of propaganda, the conspiracy, and everything. We have contributed to our defeat in 2023. But if you look at the totality, even that, the margin is so thin that you can say the country is nearly divided.
President Bouaka, during his campaign promises he made, one of the promises he made to Liberians, he said, in 100 days, this country will experience, quote-unquote, in terms of road connectivity. There will be no vehicles stopping or, hitting in mud or whatsoever across the country. And your government, people noted your government for doing much better in terms of roads. And Ambassador Bouaka said this. We've gone 2 months. You have maybe 1 month, a few days, a few weeks to the 100-day deliverables. Do you think that Ambassador Bouaka will remain, or he will deliver on that promise he made to the people? If he fails, what does CDC have to say concerning such?
Well, you see, people can make promises. At the end of the day, we are interested in action. And the CDC was more action-oriented. You saw everything the CDC government did around the country. If you go to PHP today, they have been transformed into a modern facility. And somebody was telling me that had reduced, because on every Friday, youth in the community would go to the ocean. The death rate was high. Every Friday, the people, but now the youth of the country have somewhere they can go and recreate. And in the next few years, you'll be seeing serious talents. Basketball, track and field. So when people say, "Oh, Liberia don't have stars," because somebody like President Weah was somebody who was on the outlier, because he played in the doors and then he emerged as a national star. But to emerge to be a star, there must be deliberate actions taken, and that's why you see all the parks that have been created around the country. It's not by accident, because in the wisdom of President we are. That's how you create stars. You don't create stars once, you don't just want to get up from bed and become a star. No. The conditions must be created. People must be conditioned to become stars. So probably you don't get up from bed and you become a star. No. You must have the facility. So I can tell you, you'll see Liberia in the next 5-6 years, as the youth of the country utilize all the facilities around the country. That's how. You don't change the country by red trade. You change the country by action. All the roads you saw the president, building. I was 6 years. It was intended to show practical action. It's not a red trace. The country has existed for almost 200 years. 200 years of red trace have kept the country down. Bad politics kept the country down.
Do you think Ambassador Bouaka or President Bouaka will not deliver on his 100-day promises he made to the people?
So I don't want to preempt. I would rather.
Well, you seem to do you think it's possible that we have all the roads in the country?
So again, I would rather give Bouaka the benefit of the doubt.
No, but you the chairman of the major opposition political party.
Yes, but I do not want to be making reckless statements. So no. I want to be in parallel.
Okay,
so I'm looking at the time. So again, I'm not an engineer. So President Bouaka must have been advised by his team of engineers that he can do this. So that's wait for the 100 days. In my opinion, I don't want to jump to say, oh, this, no. So I want to be constructive. So let's give President Bouaka 100 days, and then the ministry is right here, and we'll see. The ministry has almost started.
Some citizens think and say to us, maybe political pundits say, you'll be the most soft chairman of CDC, where you want to be so diplomatic.
No, it's not an issue.
And everything.
No, simple. You trying to extract a statement from me on the president that no time is stopping in what?
In 100
days. I don't want to come and say, oh, the president is lying or he can't do it. No, because our president is right here. I will go how many days? So that's when the ministry is right.
You're determined.
So the ministry is right here. So I don't want to go that way to say, oh no.
Okay, so
I will not deal with things that they have done, that the extrajudicial activities, the violation of the constitution. I would like to focus on that. When we reach the point where plans are being stopped in the modern around the country, then we'll come and discuss that. So I don't want to begin to say,
but you think the process to getting this 100-day deliverable has it commenced from your own viewpoint? Because you should see them happening already.
Because it's coming where we are inwards. The system.
I said, no, I mean the 100. I'm talking about the process. I mean, have you seen, like in Lofa County? I think the last time they saw some front rollers and taking to your county, Lofa County, and said that they were trying to fix the roads there. So you as a president, are you seeing it across the country? Because that should commence first before you even think that.
So again, I will stick to the fact that we allow the ministers to come, and then we will bring people. See.
Is it because of the local solidarity that you say, okay, your uncle? No, let me ask you, Chairman. Maybe your uncle is the president, even though you come from CDC, but you want to, traditionally, you want to know exactly how to address your uncle.
No, not that. We will be a responsible opposition. We will confront the government on violation of the constitution, violation. We will document them. We will not try to engage in. So they had a style of politics to try to get out about. We will go the other way, and that's why you see when the president considered, the president called the current president and congratulated him. You understand? So a poor thing, I'll be a soft chairman. So you need to watch and see. But what I can tell you. We will document the government, we will challenge them on their SSS, but I don't want to go and say, oh, the people will not say what they said they would do in 100 days, they won't do. No, I don't want to jump to that.
Okay, this issue about...
Let's give them the benefit of the doubt.
This issue...
Let's give them the benefit, and then clear all the rules around the country, and then, I'm sure they have a way
so
of...
after the 100 days, then you people will have what to say, right? After the 100 days...
No, we'll be judging them, you see? We'll be judging them on the promises that they have made. They have promised.
But you say you don't want to do it.
But you are waiting for the 100 days to relax
because they said they're going to do these things in 100 days. So I don't want to begin to try to start to challenge them on their 100 days.
But I'm more of them on
that. I don't think.
Okay, let me take you.
It will have a long time.
Okay, Chairman.
There's no rushing business. So I want to deal with the violations they're doing now.
Okay, let's move.
Listen, my concentration as party chairman now is to stop the abuses of the government, is to stop the harassment of civil servants, is to stop the harassment of foreign service employees of the government, is to stop harassing people in any position, is the reckless behavior of a team that is in the street violating the freedom of movement of people. Is the reckless behavior of a team in the street and violating the property rights of individuals. That's my concern now. As to why the government say we're doing what the government they will expire and we'll all be here to come and critique it.
And you make a lot of sense. You make a lot of sense. So let's move on to this issue now. President Bouaka took over, and you have President Bouaka appointing people in training positions.
Of course,
we've talked about it, and the one that shocked the country was the issue that took place at NASCO. Well, a video came out. You saw a senator or two senators and with other officials and the party chairman in that video saying that the president sent us here and you need to be, this person needs to remove from his or her position and all of that. And at the end of the day, she got dismissed.
That was very shameful.
And your Secretary General said your party will not allow it, and she's dismissed.
So that was very shameful. It's a disgrace to our country. The government are in power for 12 years. You understand the elementary rudiments of government. So we should not be teaching the government governance, because these laws they amended the NASCO Act to create the 10 positions. And my own brother Yang Twine, we inherited Yang Twine at NASCO. We didn't harass him. He served, he completed his term and left. He's running in Nima County today. You understand? So it is shameful for the country. And the government is trying to create unnecessary tension. It is not in their interest. It's not in their interest. That's why we are warning them. We are, telling them to stop. To stop. I mean, the action of the government has been challenged in court.
Telling them
it is shameful. It is shameful because all of these activities are in court. We hope the Supreme Court will rule on them. But it is shameful that the government will be violating. They got to be taking the government to court on simple governance issues. It's a shame. It's a disgrace to our country.
Most of the people that
because we expect those in government not to be so experienced that they should not make these. They should take emotions out.
Chairman, most of the people seem to be affected are all associates of CDC.
Yeah, of course, you expect CDC won an election in 2017. Of course, CDC will appoint its associates in places where the law permitted. Like I said, although when we took over, my own brother Yang Twine was announced as Deputy Director General. He was not removed because he had the protection of tenure. So Yang Twine is a senior executive in the Unity Party. So I don't understand whether Yang Twine and other people are not advancing, the current government. Because he benefited from the tenure position. He served his tenure, his tenure expired, he left the office before somebody was appointed. So why now would the government come to power, the government that inherited all of these laws that created the tenure, the new NASCO Act was passed by the Unity Party government. So why are they violating laws that they passed, that were passed under their watch? It's a disgrace to the country, it's an embarrassment to the country, and that's why we've written the speaker in the president to document these things that we have campaign international partners. And we are surprised that international partners, because these are clear violations. We are surprised that they are silent. Or they want the country to explode into violence. They want people to start to protect themselves before they tap in. No.
Okay, Chairman, tell us about this letter, because I heard you talk about it. What is it in the letter? What are some of the things you wrote? You want to tell us some of the things in the letter?
We essentially documented all of we wrote a letter to the speaker documenting all of the SSs of the Unity Party government saying it took over. Because you see, the election is a forum where it's a forum that represents the entire country. And we think they are in a position to stop the executive branch from doing what it is doing. And because it is in the interest of national stability, in the interest of peace, in the interest of the country. They should take seize of the matter, because you don't want citizens to start to defend themselves against the government.
Someone listening to they don't know what's in the letter. You need to go detail in the letter. What are the things you mentioned in the letter? Maybe you raise this issue, you raise that issue.
I want to know out the letter.
Very good. We want to know what's in the letter. What are the issues?
I can share a couple of letters for you that you can read it.
Yes. You can share. So let's know what's in the letter. What are the areas you wrote about, so that we can know? Someone listening want to know. Okay, the chairman wrote, and then what did he put in the letter?
Is it just about the 10 position?
No.
Just about 10 position.
A wide range of all the violations that have taken place.
You talk about the issue in Kinjong.
It's in the letter also.
Okay. So what if you don't have redress to all the letters you're sending out?
Well, if we don't get redress. I mean, some of the cases are in court, and the 10 position they are in court. But you know, we have a lot of options available to all.
What are the options?
We are a political party, right? So we have judicial options, we have legislative options, we have political options. So we exercise of these options, but we'll be in stages, and that's why for us, so we have opted under our leadership to engage constructively. So political action is the last. So you want to make sure you engage. You provide opportunity for the legislature to take a look at these matters. And, you know, we give international panel put it on notice. You try out of those.
So
those things.
You talk about legislative actions, and I'm sensing that the CDC is headed for being a toothless bulldog, especially legislatively. When we went to these elections, we started to count the numbers. And when we counted, CDC may have lost the presidency, but legislative-wise, CDC is in charge of the country. But you don't sense that from the actions of the CDC at the level of the legislature, especially the waves of confirmations, the way they have been going, the configuration of people. CDC has got a huge number at the level of the Senate. Look at the confirmation. Update on them with just few handful of people after the 2020 elections. They could stand the entire legislature, deny citizens who were sent forth to the national legislature. With the CDC's dominant number, it's not being reflected. So you're talking about political action, legislative actions. State there's no hope for citizens. They can stop these wanton dismissals and so forth that going on the 10 new stores and things. They could have taken some actions. You have a speaker. And all of these things have not been felt. So you as chair, in what way can we feel the CDC's strength?
So that's why we have formally brought these issues to the attention of the leadership of the House of Representatives and the leadership of the Senate. We have a CDC caucus. We have a meeting with the caucus today, and then we engage them. We engage them to ensure that the interests of the people are protected at the legislature. And the interest of the CDC is the interest of the people. So we're going to engage our caucus to make sure that we will do the right thing for the Liberian people.
Do you agree that they didn't do the right things in the waves of the confirmations that go on? Are you very satisfied with their level of work?
So for instance, the Senate is a valid. The senators who are for the CDC in the government at one level of consultation before I got to one level of consultation. So I'll be taking these briefings as to we'll be asking exactly how the president jumping chairman in 1 week. So I don't want to jump the gun. I want to understand the circumstances that led to this confirmation, the scrutiny that led to this confirmation. So that's why we're going to have regular engagement with our CDC caucus. That will provide an opportunity to be able to speak for an informed position. So we want to say here now, I've not been properly briefed.
One of the things you mentioned in your letter, you talk about the humiliation the former president received at the Ramos International Airport. Being a political leader of the major opposition political party now in the country, like what you said, he was being denied. If such continue, the next time he wants to travel, they say he's not going to use the VIP lodge. What will CDC do?
So, like we said, the first thing we expect, what happened on February 2010 not to be repeated, and we are sure it won't be repeated, and that's why we have documented it. We have sent it to the speaker. We hope the legislature will take seize on it. That was a serious security. It was a serious security breach. It was almost like a threat to his president. Take for instance the delay in granting, lending in time. Those are all things that should not be happening. Because we witness a democratic Trump. We should not be having a situation where the former president is being disrespected, because that amounts also to harassment.
The EPS boss said they don't have what it takes as to live up to the request from the former president, and your party is strong on this to say if the government fails to provide protection for former President Weah, they themselves going to provide protection for the president. How is it you're going to do that? Is it going to be war for war? Is it going to be in the point where you say, okay, we have a different governance at this point, a different government at this point, where unity partisans will see Joe Walker as the president, and seditions will see George Weah as the president?
So we are not reached that point. We're not going. I mean, Liberia has one government, and let's be very clear that we said we're going to be constructively engaged and keep the government feet to the fire. We're not going to say, oh, we're going to have no. We are not going that route. What we demand is for the government to live by the laws of the country. What we demand is for the government to accord the former president all the respect and everything that is due him. That's what we are demanding. And we are hopeful that we will reach the point where we begin to take political action. And that's why we are putting everybody on record. Because the issue of security protection for the president is an issue of formality, because the president has a lot of supporters that can provide protection, but the protocols of the state, dictate that the state will provide protection for him. But if that protection is being compromised, then of course we have no option but to provide protection. And if we embark on that, that will come in conflict with other security items. So we don't want to reach that point. We are calling on the government to do the right thing. Because you didn't hear any noise here when Madam Seli left power. The issue of security was not it was smooth. Even the current president, when he was former vice president, they don't have any security issues. They had their security details. They were not being harassed. So for the protection of the former president, we have to be an issue. Is again that's a serious embarrassment to us as a country.
So I'm seeing in your letter, is it confirmed that partisans or supporters, sympathizers of CDC were denied by the army not to allow to be present for the arrival of former President Weah?
No. That was my arrival.
Oh, your arrival. They were denied.
No, so they were confronted. We saw they went to at the airport. Supported the usual people coming. When people are coming, usually people at the airport.
Yeah. So
CDC supporters have sampled there to welcome the acting chairman to the country. And all of a sudden they saw the soldiers of the AFL. That was
your government introduced the issue about access recovery, and at the end of the day, she herself undermined the process by not supporting the process, and then people were to be accountable and all of that. This government took over. They've appointed Edward Martin as the head of that area and the likes of other people. Do you see this in good faith that it is meant to help the country so that people can account for whatsoever they've claimed to own?
So from what I've seen, it's not in good faith.
Why?
Because if you see some of the pronouncements that are being made by actors on the Asset Recovery, it's not in good faith. If you see their actions, they see the action in the street where they arrest him, private property. It's not in good faith. If you see where they held the Asset Recovery go on a talk show and say, oh, the former president did not declare his asset, I mean, you're targeting the former president, because you should not be making any comment about the former president, because the asset recovery was not established for him or for former officials. Then you are being myopic. They mean the asset recovery then is a political process, and so their actions so far show that the whole asset is a political process. Because you see, they saw some yellow taxes. Somebody sent me a video where taxes belong to private. Taxes belong to private individuals. Those taxes were registered and issued license by the government of Liberia. And we see the asset recovery to under a court order. And you take those private property, you take them to GSA. That's shameful. That's reckless. That is unacceptable. And they should desist. Because if you think a tax belongs to the government, you go to court, you adduce your evidence in court, and then the court will send an order to arrest you. But if the government is taking the law into its own hands and harassing private citizens, it's very dangerous.
So if it continues the way, where are we?
So that's why we are waiting. We are waiting, and where we try to seek, put action will proceed, but for the government to be expected to go to court, they should be going to court to do things, but if they harassing private citizens, they doing things without going to court. So they get in the street, and without court order, without any color of the law, and harassing people, people have the right to self-defense. And as you can imagine,
You just said people have the right to self-defense.
of course, but because you don't have the right to see anybody and just take your property, because there are processes laid down in the country. Maybe there are processes
So
laid down.
failure to adhere to those processes, it could lead one to retaliating, violence.
So what I'm saying, the law provides that people have the right to self-defense. And when you have a situation where citizens must be evoking the self-defense right against the government, you can imagine that you try to incite chaos. And we are saying the government is the author of that chaos. And that's why they are being put on notice, that's why they are being warned. That's why we have communicated with the legislature, the international community, because they should use the judicial process. If they are engaged in extrajudicial action, they are inviting chaos. Because if the government can think that it has the right to use extrajudicial action, of course, the citizens will have the right to use extrajudicial action, and there will be chaos. So they should be warned. And stakeholders in the country, both national and internationally, should take note, and they should warn the government. The government should desist.
The people said this issue about statute of limitation, where they just want to have their assets recovery from the just ended government, and maybe it won't be extended to the aliens administration for the past 12 years. Do you think that is being realistic? Is it something that the CDC will sit and allow it to happen?
That is very laughable. Because you talk about statute of limitation. You cannot be the beneficiary of your own inaction. It means a lawyer. The man do the law said you cannot be the beneficiary of your own inaction. So if you were in power 12 years and you didn't take action, and then you cannot benefit from that inaction. No. What about statute of limitation? Because the Unity was in power for 12 years. All of these reports are there. Reports during the Unity Party period, they didn't take action on it. And they will come back to power now in 2024 and say, oh no, because no, statute of limitation will not apply.
And no party as well.
So it will not apply. You cannot benefit from your own action. So Unity Party government cannot benefit from the statute of limitation because it is in power. And it was in power when some of these investigations, the others took place. And you didn't act on it. So you can come to power now after 6 years and say, oh, the statute of limitation because you didn't take action, but then you want to benefit from not taking action. No.
And then someone will say.
So it's a joke. So that's why it makes the whole Island government to be a joke.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes it to be a joke. Yeah.
So somebody could say that CDC had a chance to do such, but it did not. Why? Now that Unity Party came to the disco and they are doing this, then they want to see it as a witch hunt.
No, so what I'm saying is, CDC cannot benefit from its own action. Unity Party likewise cannot benefit from its own, not because CDC didn't do it, so it means it remove your obligation. No. So Unity Party cannot benefit from its own action. Likewise, CDC cannot benefit from its own action. But for somebody to say that as soon as it says yes, it means it's already prejudice. It means that person is prejudiced, that person has a preconceived mindset, and that person, then it means the asset recovery is a witch hunt. Because if you trying to find legal ways to exclude other periods, then of course it means it's not done.
You know when the CDC set up its asset recovery team, tasking Arthur Johnson, the likes of Seaforth to go after properties. We know for sure statute of limitation may not apply to those kind of crimes, especially where discovery that have been done. So the issue there is there were a lot of trackings that were done by that team. Except that Arthur Johnson said that he did not get the support through the justice minister who needed to approve and stuff. So he was dealing with law. And once the law did not permit him to proceed, he did not do. Unlike the Clamatin team that's operating in the context they are doing. But do you equally agree that there had been waves of rampant corruption spilling over from LA to the CDC that needs these kind of actions?
Of course. So again, the CDC stands, for the fight against corruption. The CDC, that's why the CDC government, that's why the LCC Act was even amended and restated so that it created a strong LCC. So the CDC stands for, but CDC does not just believe in talking. No. The CDC took action, make sure it reformed, and Clark Martin was the former, and he was duly paid. He got every penny of his own expired, tenure, because when the law was amended and he called for the appointment of new commissioners, and all the commissioners that have no expired tenure were paid. Because I was the controller, Governor General, I know that for a fact. So
looking at what you're saying here, when I look at the CDC, currently as we speak, I saw some write-outs from Taiwan, which we have had some association with the ANC before. And I believe that every other political actors in this country, following the dismal performance of Alexander Cummings, some of them think that Cummings cannot be that face to put up a fight for now, maybe subsequently. But the dismal performance was very much demoralizing for him. So CDC is the only option for now. They're going to hope for the Liberian people. And the essence of opposition is not to stall government activities, but to keep them in check for the betterment of the country. And you are in that very position now to do just that. Are you really looking at this government and seeing that one of the proceeding, you think that is there nothing the CDC will be able to do in the wake of all of this to bring them in check, to bring them to go? No, not just by writing letters here and there. They did theirs by taking practical actions. They did that.
Okay. So we will take, it's 2 months, we will take practical action. We are already taking practical action. You see, we are in a country of laws. We have a constitution, we have laws that govern the country. We have institutions of the state. So you must.
Do you support any protests?
So at this stage, we have not made any decision to do.
Do you support it?
No, so let me be clear.
It can be now. It can be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Do you support it?
So the issue of protest will come out when the circumstances dictate. It's not because I said that
they're sacking your people.
So listen.
They're telling people for the streets all over the place.
So we'll not do premeditation. The people will protest. The circumstances will create a protest. So we are not going to say that also will go. No. The circumstances, and that's why we are, because the government is creating the circumstances for protest. And that's why we put in the government on notice. We are waiting.
Okay.
International party. Because protest is not something that people go. For me, I'm not going to be part of saying I'm going to play protest against the government. No. When protest will come out, it will be as a result of the action, the circumstances will lead to the protest, and we are warning the government, do not create circumstances for protest. And the government has already created circumstances for protest. We are trying to maybe hold our people back, and we're trying to exhaust some of the.
Your people want to protest? Are there indications that people want to protest?
Of course, see the violations and other things. But we have opted. So we have opted to first do these things. By the legislature, but these are again, we have a democratic transition. The peace of our country is very paramount because here people live day by day. Instability will not be in the interest even of the CDC. It will not be more in the interest of the government. So it is in the government interest to maintain the peace. It is more in the government because as former controller of the country, I know one day disruption costs the government. 1 day disruption, 1 holiday, I know why it costs the government. It is in the government's strategic interest not to create confusion.
So let's talk about the Unity Party. Yeah, stay on that. Let's talk about the Unity Party. When Waka took over, there was this beef and on the issue of giving account of what's left in the coffers of the country. And the noise went forth. The former president, was able to declare openly why he was leaving the country's coffers. When Waka took over and then announced at the national legislature, and what he spoke of contract is exactly what the president talked about. And there were communications and notes that came up, was able to confirm what we had said. But the GAC again entered the debate, and then it brought more confusions than answers to this. In terms of credibility, in terms of the CDC's stewardship, what are your assertions about the CDC's stewardship, especially when they were there? What did they really leave there that you are aware of as a party. You sat down there at the
So if you read the GSC report, the GSC report did confirm. What in fact it was more because we were being conservative. When you're a country, you are conservative, right? So what the president announced were around 40 million, but the GSC, you read the report, the actual cash as per the balance were around 50 million. So it validated, the assertion of the former president. The current president, I don't know who gave him the numbers, maybe the numbers, maybe it was an error. It was an error, just as a simple error. The before was just unnecessary because we're not arguing about outstanding chairs, about commitment. No, we're talking about the actual cash that was in the bank at that time. It's not in dispute. The central bank went to the.
Did I include the money you sent for? Because I remember there's a communication where the former president sent for civil servant salaries. You people requested that from the ministry, from central bank. The legislators even have problems with
that's a separate issue.
Did they affect that account?
So that's a separate issue. What we say here, the cash that was in the government consolidated account on that date, as of the report that was submitted to the former president was as of the 17th of January. The cash that was in the government consolidated account at that time, that when you bring the bank statement, you see that what he announced. So it is not in dispute, even up to today, because the records will be there. So the central bank confirmed that. Even the GSC report confirmed, and it's even more. Okay, so as for the other analysis that were done, yeah, those analyses, they are also right, but the context of the former president report is still accurate.
The budget has been submitted. Bapolu County Senator Amara Conan has a serious reservation, which he thinks that the budget is totally not in the best interest of the country. And that of Bowling County Senator Edwin Snow also, he has another view about it. You being working in the financial aspect of the country as the Controller General, what are your thoughts? Do you see the current national budget being sincere, or you think this thing is just all of political speed where they will say, oh, the budget is like this, but at the end of the day, it is not, having a trickle-down effect in the life of the people?
So, what I can say, I have now really taken the draft budget to review it. I've been busy with other activities, so I wouldn't really want to comment on the issue of the.
But CDC should have a tactic team to start dealing with the issue of
There's a team already working.
But it's not overdue.
There's a team already working on that. The legislature will do this, right? Will do the necessary reviews, like we said.
But your input is very important.
Yeah, but
you speak for major.
We are represented at the legislature, and then whatever we'll have a team. We have a team of experts and technicians that currently do analysis. The analysis will be submitted to the CDC caucus. Those representations will be made to ensure that the budget is in line.
Will you people come up with official critique of the budget as a party?
So I think we'll make that determination. We have not made that determination.
Don't you think it's necessary?
We have not made that determination.
Okay, so when the CDC took over in 2018 to steer the affairs of the country, most of the people branded the CDC government as incompetent, ranging from the president downward. Now we see the current government. You see from the executive mansion page mistakes. One person or one position, two persons being appointed. And you see a lot of mistakes that will give a lot of questions to the credibility of the government. Is the CDC seeing this government to be incompetent as the way they were compared, or they were branded as being incompetent, or you see it as just a little mistakes that anyone would do?
No, but you see from the totality of what's happening, if you read the letter we sent, the government is demonstrating incompetence. Because if a government is violating the laws of the country, that's incompetence. So the government is demonstrating the rights of people, the government is violating the laws of the country. That is incompetence. Because only an incompetent government will violate its own laws. That people have to go to court against the government to try to protect their rights. No. It will not be in rare circumstances where people should go to court, but where the norm become that people have to go to court to protect themselves, that's incompetence. So people having errors on the settlement, that could be error.
Positions,
but generally, the government is generally proceeding is demonstrating incompetence because they are violating the laws of the country. But no incompetent government will be violating its own laws. That people have to go to court to protect themselves against where people get in the street and be arresting private property without court order. You don't do that. That's the highest level of incompetence. You don't do that. We thought the country was making progress. There's the third transition. So you have 2006, 2011, 2012, 2018.
Yeah.
2024. So you see, these cycles should consolidate our governance processes.
Looking at the
So the fact that we see retrogression is very, 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 very embarrassing for the country.
Looking at the level
the country is retrogressing when it comes to the issue of governance because actors in the government are violating the law flagrantly, openly.
So, Chairman, before we go to the lines, from what we've heard, this President Bouaka served in government for 43 plus years. So one would think and say that he comes with the wealth of experience to the presidency. Today, like we just mentioned, you see this mistake. Tomorrow, they violate the law.
So many lapses.
The next time you see other things happening in government, what it says to you about Joe Bouaka as the president, he himself as president, what it says to you, let's leave the government in totality, but to say, this is a man that has worked for this couple of years, he has the experience, he comes to the presidency, so he knows that before you make an appointment, there are things that you need to follow. When you send names for appointment, you need to go through you do your own review and everything, so he has the experience. But the way you see things happening, what can you say to Joe Bouaka as president? What it says to his wealth of experience he brings to the presidency?
So we need to see that for the 2 years of experience that was it was you as a campaign banner. We need to see it exemplified now because we're not seeing it. Because when the laws are being violated under his watch, it's very concerning. Because the laws of the country are being violated under his watch. He's making appointments to 10 new positions. He got people in the street arresting many people without court orders. Those things speaks to his leadership. So we're not saying that leadership, experience.
I think personally he's not in charge.
Maybe he's not in charge, but he's the president of the country. So maybe he's not in charge, but he's in charge.
Which one you saying?
Maybe he's not in charge, but he's in charge because he's responsible for everything that is happening.
He should be in charge, or he is in charge.
No. Whether you agree that he's in charge or not, he's in charge. He is the president.
But being in charge means the right things will happen. Because charging.
These things that happen are deliberate. Maybe he's doing this thing deliberately.
Okay, so it's not a mistake. It is.
So if you assume that he's not in charge, then you say maybe these things are happening because other people are doing it. But the fact that he's the president of the country, it means he's doing these things.
So it's deliberate on his part.
So that's why I said maybe he's not in charge, but he's in charge. So you generally gotta find out because the president should not sit over violations of the law by his officials.
Okay. So Janga, let's come to this issue. Since was able to strike the issue of the budget. Key amongst what people had anticipated seeing in our budget was what the Unity Party heralded during their campaign, the issue of harmonization. Though from the day the campaign closed and the day Bouaka won, we did not hear about harmonization again ever. Even during his inauguration speech, we did not hear about harmonization in his speech. During the first solar address, we did not hear about that. Now the current budget has now been presented. So significant inroad today was that to cut down the presidential budget, the speaker's budget, the deputy speaker budget, the Senate pro tem budget, those are significant inroads. Now, the issue about harmonization, you sat down there, you could sign checks about how people's salaries could be paid here and there. Are you surprised and shocked that harmonization didn't take effect in their fresh draft budget?
No, they didn't promise harmonization.
No, they say harmonization, they were against harmonization.
Yeah.
So are you surprised that
they have to roll back the harmonization?
Yeah,
they need to restore.
Yeah,
they need to undo the harmonization. I mean, so they are in the driver's seat now. They should, all the big salaries that have been made across the government, they should restore it because that's why they campaign on. So the boys in their court.
But they are not doing it. So what it says to you as the chairman of CDC?
So for me, that goes to their voters. So their voters. So their voters.
When were their voters?
Are you going to hold a unity party to what they promised the Liberia? Because that should be your task. You said you were going to do this.
Yes.
Though we said that it was difficult, you said you're going to. Are you going to be, because their voter could be your voter depending on how you advocate for them.
Yeah.
To hold them to check. Are you willing to do that?
To ask for them to increase salaries.
Yeah, they should do that.
I don't want that representation because that one they campaigned. That one they campaigned on. But again, sometimes it is good to allow things to play out so that people understand. Because if you campaign on deception, so I mean, we want for the people to understand who they voted for.
Okay.
So we don't want to be started jumping. Everywhere you voted before you wanted your salary to be increased.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we don't start jumping the gun. You gotta allow the situation to unfold.
So Chairman, Unity Party Ambassador Bwaka, he spoke about transparency and accountability during elections. Are you seeing any transparency, or are you seeing people being accountable for things that they are doing?
Like I said, the government is in stark violation of the laws of the country. That alone runs against transparency and accountability. Because see the document that was exhibited by Honorable Kowo, where gifts were allegedly being given to members of the legislature. That's very, very serious. We don't know how authentic is that, but we be requesting the legislature to conduct that may constitute bribery to the legislature. That's a serious. That's why we will treat that separately. We didn't include the letter that we sent out, because that's something that we really want to do some background investigation to find out and know exactly. But that's bribery, attempted bribery of legislation is a very, very serious constitutional violation. And so we'll be trying to find out whether it's just a mere allegation. We'll be trying to ascertain the validity of the allegations that have been made.
Okay. Yeah. If you're just joining us, you're listening to the program Good Morning Liberia on Voice of Liberia. Today we have as our special guest the chairman. He's the national chairman of the Congress of Democratic Change, in person of Chairman Janga Augustus Kowo. He's discussing lots of issues concerning his political party, concerning governance in the country. We're live on 104.1 in Monrovia, 89.7 in Mangibi, 90.7 in Bon County, and other frequencies across Liberia. My name is Sekou Sharisa. Mira Wola is here. Abraham Gosson William from Freedom FM is also here on the joint interview as we continue. Let's go to the lines and hear you Liberians, and you can ask your questions. And also, let's direct our questions to the issues we've discussed. Let's talk about the issues, and we should not be personal. The numbers to call, the numbers are 0770 907 907, 0770 907 907, 0880 907 907. For the WhatsApp line, before we go to Bon County line, for the WhatsApp line is +231 770 942048, +231 770 942048 for the WhatsApp line. Those of you out of Liberia, you call on WhatsApp, you're in Liberia. As soon as you say hello, I ask you to play, you call in from a country you off. Tell me, say you either in Guinea or you somewhere. You call our business. Call the line for the people in
Bon County. For Bon County, you can call us on 0779 003835, 0779 003835.
Okay, let me take the very first caller. Good morning. Yeah, good morning. Go ahead. Okay, thank you. How the CDC intends to go ahead and tackle the issue about the access recovery team? Hello. Good morning. You're live. Mm. Thank you. Another person here. Morning. Morning. Mm. Can't do one, I'll beg you. Okay, thank you. Let's go to Banga, Bon County.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You're live.
To Bon County.
Bon County. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Tamira, AB, and Tepu.
Where do you join us from?
Yeah, this is the big council across from another street like in
Bon County. Good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, good morning.
Your name and where do you join us from?
Yeah, this is Emmanuel Tamata. I do it in macro group of Central Liberia, Banga, Bon County. Let me appreciate your still getting chairman for his splendid deliberation. Let me just answer the question of people asking what the 100 days to the rule. Let's be honest, the president will not fulfill that particular mandate because some of us as engineering students will understand everything. In rehabilitation, road rehabilitation, there are so many processes involved where the road is cut off, you do a backfill, after that put drainage system, and also when water falls again, overflow the bottom of the earth.
Oh, okay.
The road again. Some places, also put a cover installation. So they will not make it as a reality that I have to go back.
Thank you. Let's take John Yakpawolo. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Tamira, and good morning to our powerful chairman. And I want to say, we the people of Bon County, we are anticipating to see you soon because the CDC based in Bon County, we want to revamp here. We want to be like strong as the people in Montserrat. So we ask you to please put your team together that you come to Bon County.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me take this person here. Morning. Morning, you're sounding very low. Please be audible. Let's hear you. Mm-hmm. Your chairman is the diplomatic chairman. Okay, thank you. Let me take Musa Sharif, the CEO and owner of Strong FM in Monrovia.
Thank you. And the chairman of the National Development Party as well. Good morning, Chairman Kowo, and good morning to my sister and Amy. Let me begin by saying this. President, two things happen here. President Joseph Waka is a lucky man. That's the first premise I want to put here. And the second thing is, it appears that when you work for government, your level of civility can increase. So yeah, this is what I'm seeing. What I mean by President Waka is lucky. When Ellen took power, since he did not get any chance.
Go ahead, you're alive.
Are you hearing me?
You're alive, go ahead.
So when CDC, when Eric Johnson said it took power, CDC did not get it just necessarily just for an inch. And the second phase also means second round of election. That's why I went to receive the ballot. But then, when you look at the way into opposition, when CDC took power, CDC gets very rough. It was tough, but everything that CDC did, it was just difficult to comprehend. And they couldn't give the party a chance to even lend. President Walker, and I mean, it's selling for free. Without things that we expect to be done. That's why I said the woman is very lucky. So seriously, why would they tell you we understand the fact that the chairman want to be at this time around maybe more legal, which we appreciate, more safer, which we appreciate. But the similar question concerning 90-day delivery, that is not achievable. You don't get around that question. That is not achievable.
Okay, Musa. Thank you. Let me take another person. The calls are too many. Morning. Morning. All right. Thank you very much. Let me take this person. Good morning. Thank you. Oh, you get it.
I think we have call from County.
You get a call?
Yes. Good morning. Good morning. Amina, where do you join us from?
Good morning.
Good morning. You are live.
Yeah, thank you very much for the show, Tamara. Everything very thanks to you and who got me to this morning. Tamara.
Yamina, where do you join us from?
Oh, okay, thank you very much. I was the family. I'm joining you from where we are, so who's going to telecom in the market.
Okay, so the land for your take different person. Let me take another person. Morning, yeah. That one country land there. Morning. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Let me take this person here. Morning. Good morning. You on the line? Okay, let me take another person. Good morning. Okay, I'll move for this. Morning. Yeah, morning. Go ahead, sir. You're live.
Let me this morning for you to say good morning to our the executive chairman of the Janga.
They should be Foka Ramos.
And the capital officer for the
What? Mama, you get people to jump Puka. Thank you. Mm-hmm. thank you. Let me take the other call here. Morning. Morning, your life. Go ahead. You're joining us from where?
Yeah, my name is Eric Smith. I'm calling from Buddha.
Which Buddha? Okay. Go ahead.
When it gets back there, it's a representative that practice serious thing. I want to thank our chairman for the chairman need to be combative. You saw what happened to in 2018 to 2023. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. The president of the EB right now.
Oh. Okay. Thank you. Let me take Avin Wisse. Avin, morning.
I think people are getting the term very wrong. I admire the experience and the agility for us to separate to the intellectual issue.